Hi class. So far in class, we've been learning about writing paragraphs. Now we're going to start studying essays. And essays are very different than writing a paragraph because we're actually taking a lot of paragraphs and putting them together, but we have to put them together in an organized way. And so until now we've been talking about the type of paragraphs that you will be using in your essays as body paragraphs. But when you write an essay, there is something that you need to write before those body paragraphs, and that's the introduction paragraph. There's also a concluding paragraph that comes after the body paragraphs of an essay. Those body paragraphs are exactly what we've been talking about so far, with topic sentences, supporting sentences, and a concluding sentence. But introduction paragraphs and concluding paragraphs have a different structure, and so you organize the sentences in a different way. They even have different parts that are required in order to make an introduction paragraph or a concluding paragraph. So now we're going to look at how to write an introduction paragraph and make it natural and good to start your essay out with. So writing an introduction paragraph takes a little bit of practice. And the main thing is that an introduction paragraph is kind of like a regular paragraph, but it's backwards. Normally we have a topic sentence at the beginning of the paragraph, but in an introduction paragraph, there's no topic sentence at the beginning. There is a sentence at the end of the paragraph called the thesis statement, but it's not a topic sentence. The biggest difference between a topic sentence and a thesis statement is that a thesis statement has all of the controlling ideas for the whole essay, not just for one paragraph. In a regular paragraph, you'll always have a main subject and one controlling idea, but for an introduction, you have to include all of the controlling ideas for the whole essay. So it's kind of like all of the topic sentences for the essay put together into one. That comes last in the introduction paragraph because before we get there, we want to get our readers interested in what we're going to write about. When we read a paragraph, it's short, so we don't have to spend a lot of time deciding, do we want to read this or not? But when we read an essay, we look at the beginning of the essay to see, is this something that I'm interested in, or is it something that I don't need to read? That's why we always start with something called a hook sentence. I have a little smiley face here because a hook sentence should be interesting and it should make the reader interested in what you want to say. The hook sentence should not be like a topic sentence. It should not have a main subject and controlling idea. It might have a main subject, it might have a controlling idea, but it should be focused on being interesting and drawing somebody into reading what you're going to write about. You shouldn't write it about something totally off topic, but you should try to make it as interesting as possible and connect it a little bit, at least, to your thesis statement. After your hook sentence, you want to bring the reader into understanding your thesis statement. So you provide background information that they might need. I put a little magnifying glass here because when you write the background information, you have to think like a detective. What would a person need to know who never heard about this topic before? Or what would they need to know in order to understand my thesis statement? So the hook is all about getting your reader interested in the topic. The background is how to get the reader to understand what your thesis statement is going to say. When they read your thesis statement, they shouldn't have any questions like, well, what does that mean? So any vocabulary or the time period that you're talking about in your life or some kind of information that's important to understand the rest of your essay should all be in that background information. In your book, turn to page 81 to look at example essay 1. In that example essay, the background information is a little bit of information about where the person works. So notice how the first sentence, the hook, is really strange. It doesn't contain the main subject or the controlling idea of the essay. It's an interesting sentence, but it is connected to their thesis statement. So take a look at their thesis statement and see how the hook and thesis are connected. And then when you look at the background information in the middle, you can notice how they took that hook that's very interesting and connected it to their thesis statement with this background that gives them some details about where this essay is starting and why it's starting in this way. So go ahead and take a look at page 81. After you look at that, you can look at page 88. There's another example essay, and you can notice those same things. Find the hook, the background, and the thesis statement. If those are too confusing for you, you can start on page 96. Page 96 has an example introduction paragraph, but there's no rest of the essay. It's just an introduction paragraph. So there's no other paragraphs to follow it up with. But there is an introduction paragraph, and the hook is underlined, the background information is marked, and the thesis statement is also underlined, so you can see all of those parts specifically. That's all about introduction paragraphs. Next, we'll talk about body paragraphs. Body paragraphs are the same type of paragraph we've been talking about this semester. So it's pretty easy to write body paragraphs. You'll have a clear organization to your paragraph with a topic sentence and a controlling idea. Every body paragraph should have only one controlling idea. How do you decide which controlling idea to have for your body paragraph? You can go back to your thesis statement, look at the controlling ideas that you put in your thesis statement, and then choose one of those controlling ideas to start your body paragraph. Now, your thesis statement will have all of the controlling ideas for the essay, but in the first body paragraph, you'll only want to have one. The second body paragraph can have another one. The third body paragraph can have a different one. So if you have 3 controlling ideas in your thesis statement, you should have 3 body paragraphs in your essay. If you have 2 controlling ideas in your thesis statement, you should have 2 body paragraphs in your essay. After the supporting sentences in that body paragraph, you do want to have a conclusion sentence. And this is where it gets tricky. In those supporting sentences, you have to make sure you have unity. Remember, unity is when all of the ideas in the paragraph are correctly put under that controlling idea in the topic sentence. Sometimes we accidentally get emotional or we get excited about a topic and we write something that doesn't belong under that controlling idea. Think carefully when you write body paragraphs, does this information belong under this controlling idea, or should I put it in a different place? If you have a lot of emotion about a topic or something that's really interesting about a topic, you might not need that information in the body paragraph, but it might fit really, really well as a hook or during the body or the background information of the introduction paragraph, or it could go in the conclusion paragraph of your essay. So just because you get emotional and you have this information that doesn't belong under that controlling idea, it doesn't mean that you can't use that in your essay. It might just mean you can't use it in that particular paragraph. So think carefully about the unity of each body paragraph. Now, you do need to have a clear organization of your body paragraphs. The essays in our book have a really nice clear organization. The essay on page 81 to 82, if you look at the topic sentences of the body paragraphs, they're all organized by time. So look at each topic sentence in that essay and find out which time of day are they talking about. The first body paragraph is talking about before work. Look at the other body paragraphs and underline the time period that it's talking about. And notice how everything in that paragraph is from that period of time in the day. On page 88 to 89, there's another example essay. This essay is not organized by time. Instead, it's organized by location. So as the person talks about their day or their job, they actually go through the restaurant that they work at by location. They start in one location of the restaurant, and then the next body paragraph is about a different location in the restaurant, all the way until the end of the essay. So look at each topic sentence and underline the part of the topic sentence that shows you the location in the restaurant that they're talking about. In the essay on page 81 to 82, the time periods are the controlling ideas for each paragraph. In the essay on page 88 to 89, the location of the restaurant is the controlling idea for each body paragraph. So when you're underlining those, you're actually underlining the controlling idea. After you're done with your body paragraph, you do need to have conclusion sentences. Some of the essays in our book don't have good conclusion sentences in the body paragraphs. So you can look at these 2 example essays and see, are there conclusion sentences at the end of each body paragraph, or is there something else? We will talk about that in class some more, but I want you to look at each of the essays and notice what's at the end of their essay, or what is at the end of their body paragraphs. If there's not a conclusion sentence there, what is there at the end? And start to think about how you can make the essays in the book even better. When you get to the end of your essay, you need to finish your essay in a logical way. And to do that, you'll use a conclusion paragraph. A conclusion paragraph is kind of like the introduction paragraph, but it's backwards. So instead of ending the paragraph with a thesis statement, you'll actually restate the thesis statement at the beginning of the conclusion paragraph. I put the umbrella here because that's all of your controlling ideas. Now, in an introduction paragraph, the thesis statement should be one sentence only. But when you get to the conclusion paragraph, you want to restate the thesis in a different way. So you don't have to write it in one sentence. You could divide it into 3 different sentences. You could put it into 2 sentences. You could even have it over a longer period of the paragraph. So you do need to restate the thesis, which means you need to say those controlling ideas again. You need to mention the main subject again, but you don't have to do it in the same order. You can move it around. You can make it longer. You can make it shorter. You can add some conclusions. But you want to restate that thesis in some way and get all of that information into the conclusion paragraph. Then you want to have some kind of opinion, prediction, or suggestion. And I put the little magnifying glass here because this is kind of like the background information. You want to have something that connects back to the background information of your essay. So the opinion, prediction, or suggestion that you make could be something that connects back to the things that you said in that background information section of the introduction paragraph. I also put connect to the hook. Now these 2 things could be the same section of the conclusion paragraph. It could even be in the same sentence. Or you could separate it out, have the opinion, prediction, or suggestion, and then another sentence that connects to your hook. I usually put the connection to the hook last because it makes the essay feel kind of like a circle. You started with this hook idea, and then at the end of the essay, you'll have a similar idea that connects back. That way the reader goes, ooh, they planned their essay really well, and it has this professional, finished feeling. To bring an essay to a clear end, one of the easiest ways to do that is to connect back to your hook at the end of the essay. Some students say, oh, but the hook is not important, I don't need to write the hook. That's true. The hook is not really important in the introduction paragraph. But when you get to the conclusion paragraph, the hook becomes very important because it makes it easier to finish your essay in a clear way. The essays in our book have some great endings and some kind of poor endings. So I want you to think about the conclusion paragraphs on page 82 and 89. Are those following these principles or not? Which principles did they follow? Which principles did they not follow? Can you see a clear ending to the essays? Do you see a connection back to the hooks from the essays that they were writing? Is there any opinion, prediction, or suggestion in the conclusion paragraph? Did that connect back to the background information in their introduction paragraph? So how are those conclusion paragraphs in our essays in the book? Also, on page 97, there's kind of a longer description of how to write a conclusion paragraph. If you feel confused about what to do with conclusion paragraphs, you can look at page 97 and see a longer description of what to do. That's all for the introduction to the essay. I hope that this was helpful. Please look at those example essays in the book if you didn't get a chance to yet, and start to analyze the parts of these essays. Are they following the directions well? Are they good essays? What could change about these essays to make them better? All right, I'll see you in class.